Hi everyone. Coming up with the second act of Himachal Pradesh Judicial Services Examination, the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. This act is important since a recent amendment has been made in 2022 which has been made effective from this year itself, that is 1st of April 2023. So all the important provisions which have been added through this amendment have been included in this lecture. So starting with, it comprises of 7 chapters, 66 sections and 4 schedules. Preamble of this act states that it is for the protection of wild animals, birds, plants with a view to ensure ecological and environmental security. Moving on to the next slide, which comprises of chapter 1, preliminary. So in this section also, in this lecture also, I have done the same thing. I have added all the important questions which have been asked in the previous year, as well as I have added some important subsections as well, from which there is a probability of question being asked. So section 2, definition, subsection 1, animal. Animal, it includes amphibian, mammal, reptile, their young and their eggs as well. Secondly, subsection 15, it states habitat, and habitat includes land, water or vegetation which is natural home of any wild animal. Subsection 16, hunting, it includes three basically things which are included, that is killing, poisoning of wild captive animal or any attempt to do so, capturing, coursing, snaring, trapping, driving, baiting any wild or captive animal, or injuring or destroying any part of such animal, any body part of such animal. Subsection 16A, very important, it has been included through this amendment, which states invasive alien species. So species of animals or plants which is not native to India, invasive alien species, and whose introduction or spread may threaten or adversely impact wildlife or its habitat. Subsection 18A, livestock, it means farm animals and it includes all these animals. What it does not include is the animal which has been specified in schedules 1, 2 and 4. So this you have to keep in mind. Himachal Pradesh Judicial Services Examination has this habit of asking what is not included in the definition clause. So please keep this in mind, that what is not included. Subsection 27, specified plant, it means any plant which has been specified in schedule 3, and this definition has been instituted through this amendment of 2022. Subsection 31, trophy, it means whole or any part of any captive or wild animal kept or preserved by artificial or natural means. And what all it includes rugs, skins, specimens of such animal. It includes their bone, antler, carapace, shell, horn, rhinoceros horn, hair, feather, nail, tooth, tusk, eggs, nests, musk. So basically it includes every body part of such wild or captive animal. Wildlife, subsection 37, it includes any animal, aquatic or land vegetation which forms part of any habitat. Moving on to chapter 2, authorities to be appointed or constituted under this act. So there are certain authorities which are appointed under this act. We will start with section 3, which includes appointment of a director and other officers. Such appointment will be made by central government. So what you have to keep in mind is the body and the appointing authority. So here director and other officers are being appointed by central government. Subsection 4, appointment of wildlife warden and other officers is done by state. Constitution of National Board for Wildlife. Section 5A. Central government is the authority which constitutes the National Board for Wildlife, and it has to be constituted within 3 months from the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2002. So here you have to keep in mind that National Board as well as State Board for Wildlife, the provision for these boards or for these two boards was made through the Amendment Act of 2002. Members, I have not included each and every member, but there are certain members of which you should be aware of, and they have been included in this list of members. So chairman of this board is the PM, vice chairman is minister in charge of forest and wildlife, Please comment who is the minister in charge of forest and wildlife at present. 3 MPs, which includes 2 MPs from Lok Sabha and 1 from Rajya Sabha, 5% to represent NGOs, which are to be nominated by the central government. I have not written over here, by mistake I left it. So you, as you know, since the board is being constituted by the central government, so here the nominated members would also be by the central government. 10 persons nominated by central government from eminent conservationists, ecologists, 1 representative each from 10 states and UTs by rotation, which are to be nominated. Chief of Army Staff, keep this in mind, because that is something, this is very different. One cannot imagine any of the chiefs of the armed forces to be included in National Board for Wildlife, but he is also one of the members of this board. And directors of different institutes. There are a list of institutes which have been given under section 5A, which includes Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun Zoological Survey of India, Botanical Survey of India, Central Zoo Authority, and so on. So there are different institutes. The directors of these institutes, all those institutes which are involved with the wildlife in any form, the directors of such institutes are also the members of the National Board for Wildlife. Section 5B, Standing Committee of National Board. Section 5C, there's the functions of National Board. So these sections you just have to keep in mind the section number and what they comprise of. Standing Committee is under section 5B and functions have been given under section 5C. Section 6, Constitution of State Board for Wildlife. State government has to constitute state board within 6 months. See, it was 3 months over here and 6 months over here. So keep in mind these little or minor differences which are made. There is not a very much diversion from the central or the national board and these with the state board. So all these points you just have to keep in mind that it comprises of within 6 months it has to constitute the state board. And members, almost the same members as the list has been given in the above mentioned section 5A. Similar is the composition of the state board. Slight change: 3 members of state legislature has been given, 3 members to represent NGOs dealing with wildlife, 10 members have to be nominated by state government, and a representative of armed forces who is not below the rank of a brigadier, who is to be nominated by the central government. So this is a very different point which you must keep in mind. स्टेट बोर्ड है जिसका मेंबर कौन नॉमिनेट कर रहा है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट नॉमिनेट कर रही है, एंड ओनली दिस मेंबर इज बीइंग नॉमिनेटेड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. Moving on with the section 6 capital A, Standing Committee of the Board, which has been introduced through the recent amendment. It comprises of vice chairman, member secretary, and not more than 10 members to be nominated by the vice chairperson. Section 7, vice chairperson is one of the members of the state board. Section 7, procedure to be followed by the board. It shall meet at least twice a year. Section 8, duties of the state board for wildlife. You have to keep in mind these list of duties which have been provided under this section. Duty of the state board for wildlife to advise the state government on certain points like selection and management of protected areas, formulation of policy for protection and conservation of wildlife and specified plants, any matter relating to amendment in any schedule, and measures for harmonizing needs of the tribals and dwellers of forests with protection and conservation of wildlife. Chapter 3, Hunting of Wild Animals. This is the most important chapter of this act, and all the sections which are included in this chapter are important from point of view of examination as well as from general understanding, as well. Section 9, it in general prohibits hunting. No person shall hunt any animal specified in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Exception has been provided. 2 exceptions have been provided under section 11 and section 12. Moving on with section 11. This is the crux of this chapter, hunting of wild animals to be permitted in certain cases. I will divide this section in 2 parts. First part, it comprises of animal which has been included in Schedule 1. So chief wild You have to remember in this subsection or this part, who can give the permission for which animal and on what grounds. So who can give? Chief Wildlife Warden. If satisfied, may order in writing stating reasons permit any person to hunt such animal or cause animal to be hunted. Which animal? Which has been specified in Schedule 1, who has become dangerous to human life, is disabled or deceased beyond recovery. Provided no wild animal shall be ordered to be killed unless Chief Wildlife Warden is satisfied that such animal cannot be captured, tranquilized, translocated. So hunting would be an option which is to be exercised as the option of last resort. अगर उस एनिमल को कैप्चर, ट्रैंकुलाइज या ट्रांसलोकेट किया जा सकता है, इन दैट केस hunting would not be permitted. No such animal captured shall be kept in captivity unless Chief Wildlife Warden, just give me a second, is satisfied that he cannot be rehabilitated in the wild. So captivity also is subject to the condition that if it can be rehabilitated in normal forest area, in the wild area, in that case he should not be captured or kept in captivity. Second part of section 11, it basically discusses about the animal which has been specified in Schedule 2, and it specifies that any animal who's specified in Schedule 2 who has become dangerous to human life or property or is disabled or deceased beyond recovery. Third part, it comprises of a general defense which has been provided, that the killing or wounding in good faith of any wild animal in defense of oneself or of any other person shall not be an offense. So when it would not be an offense? When it is in private defense, provided nothing shall exonerate any person who was committing act in contravention of provisions of this act. Any wild animal killed or wounded in defense of any person shall be government property. Section 12, grant of permit for special purposes. So section 9 gave the general clause which stated that no animal should be hunted, with an exception has been provided under section 11 and section 12. Section 11 basically comprises of the exception that when it can be hunted, condition is that the animal has become dangerous to human life or it has become disabled or deceased, which is beyond recovery. Section 12 provides with the grant for permission of hunting animals for special purposes. List of purposes have been mentioned under section 12. It is lawful for Chief Wildlife Warden to grant permit by order in writing stating reasons on payment of fee to entitle the holder of such permit to hunt any wild animal which has been specified under Schedule 1 with previous permission of the central government. Other wild animal with permission of the state government. So when it is Schedule 1, when any animal included in Schedule 1 is to be hunted for the below mentioned purposes, in that case permission is to be taken from central government. Any other animal included in any other schedule, permission of the state government would be sufficient. Purposes for which the holder of the person has this permission to hunt any wild animal includes education, scientific research, scientific management, collection of specimens for recognized zoos, museums, derivation, collection, preparation of snake venom for the purposes of manufacturing of life-saving drugs. Moving on with chapter 3A, protection of specified plants. So this chapter number, it was asked twice in 2019 and 2018. So it comprises of sections 17A to 17H. Starting with section 17A, prohibition of picking, uprooting, etc. of specified plants from any forest, land or any area which has been specified by the central government. Anything like picking or uprooting of any specified plant, any such act is prohibited. There is one exception which has been made, that is nothing shall prevent a member of scheduled tribe for who uses or picks, uproots any plant for bona fide personal use. ठीक. Then moving on with section 17B, grants of permit for special use. Chief Wildlife Warden with previous permission of the state government, he shall grant permit for special use. And what kind of uses are included? It includes education, scientific research, propagation by person, institutions has been approved by central government, collection, preservation and display in a herbarium of any scientific institution. So the special use includes basically related to research, education and development. Section 17C, cultivation of specified plants without licenses prohibited. Section 17D, dealing in specified plants without licenses prohibited. So here C, you can remember there is this very little small trick. C say cultivation, D say dealing. So firstly, cultivation is prohibited. Secondly, dealing in these plants is also prohibited without the license. Section 17E, declaration of stocks. It is E. Person cultivating or dealing in any specified plants has to declare to the Chief Wildlife Warden within 30 days from the commencement of the Amendment Act of 1991 regarding this regarding his dealing or cultivation or this process of cultivating of specified plants. Section 17H, plants to be government property. Chapter 4, protected areas. So there are a number of protected areas which have been given under Wildlife Protection Act. First is sanctuaries, second are national parks, third is sanctuaries or national parks which have been declared by the central government. Starting with the sanctuaries, declaration of sanctuary, very important. Who can declare a sanctuary? State government can declare an intention to constitute any area within a reserved forest or territorial waters as a sanctuary. Such area, certain requirements like it must have adequate ecological, faunal, floral, geomorphological, natural or zoological significance. Section 18 capital A, protection to sanctuaries. Section 25 capital A, this section number and the marginal note which I am providing, just keep in mind the section number and the what it provides. So in 2017 question was asked that in under which section protection to sanctuaries has been granted or has been provided. Section 25 capital A, time limit for completion of acquisition proceedings. Collector, who shall complete? Collector shall complete the proceedings under section 19 to 25 within a period of 2 years from the date of notification of declaration of a sanctuary. Section 28, grant of permit. Chief Wildlife Warden on application grant to any person to enter or to reside in a sanctuary. Purposes, specified purposes are there. Investigation or study of wildlife first, second photography, third tourism, fourth scientific research and fifth transaction of lawful business. So who can grant? Chief Wildlife Warden can grant. Moving on with the next protected area, which is national parks. Section 35, declaration of national parks. State government declares an area to be a national park. Whether such park is included within the sanctuary or not is not important. It must have ecological, faunal, floral, geomorphological or zoological association or importance. No alteration or boundaries of a national park is permitted except on recommendation of the National Board. Section 36 capital A, declaration and management of a conservation reserve. State government after consultation with the local communities declare any area which is adjacent to the national parks and sanctuaries, particularly those areas which link one protected area with another. Section 36C, declaration and management of a community reserve. State government may declare any area as a community reserve. Such land not comprised. यहाँ पे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा था, वो चाहे हो उसका पार्ट चाहे ना हो, बट यहाँ पे फर्क पड़ रहा है it should not be comprised within a national park, sanctuary or a conservation reserve where community or individual has volunteered to conserve the wildlife and its habitat. That area shall be declared as a community reserve. Sanctuaries or national parks declared by the central government. So this power to declare sanctuary or national park is in general bestowed upon the state governments, but under section 38 a power has been given to the central government as well. Chapter 4, capital A, Central Zoo Authority and Recognition of Zoos. Section 38, capital A, Constitution of Central Zoo Authority. And who shall constitute this? So this chapter comprises of sections from section 38A to section 38. Just give me a second. It comprises from section 38A to section 38J. Section 38, capital A, Constitution of Central Zoo Authority. Central government shall constitute this authority. Composition, it shall include chairperson and members not exceeding 10 plus a member secretary. Section 38, capital B, terms of office and conditions of the chairperson and the members. It shall not exceed 3 years, and resignation in writing is permitted to the central government. Section 38, capital H, recognition of zoos. No zoo shall be operated without being recognized by the authority. Appeal from an order refusing to recognize a zoo or an order suspending or cancelling recognition shall lie to the central government, and appeal must be preferred within 30 days. Section 38J, prohibition of teasing etc. in a zoo. This section number you have to keep in mind. And section 38I, acquisition of animals by zoo. No zoo acquire, sell or transfer any wild animal or captive animal specified in Schedule 1 except with the previous permission of the authority. Nothing in this section shall apply to a conservation breeding center. And this has been instituted by this Act of 2022. So this was a recent amendment which was made. That's why I added this section afterwards. So what you have to keep in mind is section 38J, section 38I. All these sections basically are important, but from this is the, since it is a recent amendment, and from this questions have been asked earlier, as well as who is the authority to constitute the body or to constitute the zoo. That is a central government, or a central government which constitutes central zoo authority. It shall declare what a zoo, what an area, whether an area can be declared as a zoo or not. Chapter 4B, National Tiger Conservation Authority. Section 38, capital L, Constitution of National Tiger Conservation Authority. Keep in mind the section number, and central government has the power. Section 38, capital M, terms of office and conditions of service of member. It should not exceed 3 years, and conditions of service shall be determined by the authority. Section 38, terms of service of the members of the authority shall be determined by the, it shall be determined by the central government. Section 38, capital V, Tiger Conservation Authority. State government shall on recommendation of Tiger Conservation Authority notify an area as a tiger reserve, and the state government shall also prepare a tiger conservation plan. Section 38 X, capital XA. This has been instituted by the recent amendment, which states that provisions of this chapter shall be in addition to the provisions relating to the sanctuaries and national parks. Chapter 4, capital C, Wildlife. Very important amendment. Earlier it was only for the tiger and other endangered species, but now it is specifically for the wildlife, for the protection of the wildlife. So Wildlife Criminal Bureau, it comprises of section 38Y, Constitution of Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. Central government may constitute a Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, and this was the important part which you must keep in mind. I have a strong intuition that question from this section can be asked. It comprises of two sections, section 38Y and 38Z. Moving on with chapter 5, trade or commerce in wild animals, animal articles and trophies. Section 39, wild animals etc. to be government property. Wild animal hunted or kept or bred in captivity or hunted in contravention of any provision of this act, made thereunder or found dead or killed by mistake, any animal, article, trophy etc. or ivory imported into India or article made from such ivory, vehicle, vessel, weapon or anything which is included or which is used for committing the offence which has been seized under the provisions of this act shall be considered as the property of the state government. Any person who obtains the property of the government, who obtains the possession of the government property shall within 48 hours report about such possession. No person shall without previous permission of the chief wildlife warden or other authorized officer acquire or keep in possession, custody or control or transfer by way of gift or sale or destroy or damage such government property. Section 42, certificate of ownership. Chief wildlife warden shall issue a certificate of ownership. Until and unless it is not issued, any property in any which has been mentioned under the under section number 39, it shall be considered as the property of the state government. Section 42 capital A, surrender of captive animals, animal article etc. included by the recent amendment of 2022. Section 49, purchase of captive animal etc. by a person other than a licensee is prohibited, but nothing shall apply to a recognized zoo under section 38I. Nothing in this section shall apply to that section. Chapter 5 capital A, prohibition of trade or commerce in trophies, animal articles etc. derived from certain animals. This has been prohibited under section 49B. All these sections are not important over here, only this was important, so I have not included every section of this chapter. Basically this chapter comprises of section 49A to 49C, out of which 49B is only important. Chapter 5B, regulation of international trade in endangered species of wild fauna and flora as per convention on international trade in endangered species of wild flora and fauna. This chapter has been instituted by the Amendment Act of 2022, and it comprises of sections 49D to 49R. Any person who contravenes any provision under the chapter 5A shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 3 years but which may extend to 7 years, and also with fine which shall not be less than 25,000 rupees. So basically what all you have to keep in mind is that imprisonment minimum of 3 years, maximum of 7 years, fine of 25,000 rupees. In case of second or subsequent offence, the amount of fine can be extended to it shall not be less than rupees 1 lakh. Section 52, abatements, attempts and abatement. Section 54, power to compound offences. Central government can empower the director of wildlife preservation or officer not below the rank of assistant director of wildlife preservation, or the state government may empower the chief wildlife warden or an officer not below the rank of assistant conservator of forest to compound the offences. Now the sum of money against which the composition can be made shall not exceed a sum of rupees 5 lakhs. Section 55, cognizance of offences. No court shall take cognizance unless and until complaint has been made by against the act on complaint of an officer other than the specified officer. So only on complaint of the specified officers cognizance can be taken by any court. Any person who has given notice of not less than 60 days of the alleged offence and his intention to make a complaint to the central government or state government, an officer authorized can make a complaint. So basically any common man, if he has to make a complaint, he has to give a prior notice of 60 days. Section 56, operation of other laws not barred. No person shall be punished twice for the same offence. Section 57, presumption to be made in certain cases. If any person is found in possession of any captive animal, animal article, meat, etc., the burden of proving that he has not committed the offences shall lie on the accused. Section 58, offences by the companies. Here, companies as well as the personnel who are responsible for management of the company shall be held liable. Section 6A, forfeiture of property derived from illegal hunting and trade. Section 58A to Section 58Y, competent authority. Section 58D, state government may authorize. Who shall be the competent authority for forfeiture? It shall be authorized by the state government, who shall be an officer not below the rank of chief conservator of forest to perform the functions of competent authority. Section 58N, constitution of appellate tribunal. State government shall constitute an appellate tribunal to be called appellate tribunal for forfeited property. Chairman of appellate tribunal shall be the person who is or has been qualified to be a judge of the High Court. Section 58 capital O, appeals. Any appeal from order of the competent authority shall be made within 45 days from the date on which the order is served, and he has to prefer this appeal to the appellate tribunal. Section 58Q, bar of jurisdiction. Any civil court shall have no power or no jurisdiction over the subject matters which are to be decided by the competent authority and the appellate tribunal. Section 58 capital R, competent authority and appellate tribunal to have the powers of the civil court. Chapter 7, miscellaneous. This chapter is important. Only you have to keep in mind only the section number and what it is dealing with. Section 59, officers to be public servants. Section 60, protection of action taken in good faith. No person shall be prosecuted for any action which he has taken under this act in good faith for the bona fide purposes. Section 61, power to alter the entries in the schedules. For the amendment in the schedules, central government has the power. Section 62, declaration of certain wild animals to be vermin, central government. Section 62 capital A, there is a reason for this, because there are exceptions which has been provided to the general rule, and for an exception there needs to be a standard which has to be set, which should not be it should not be allowed to be different for different states. So that is the reason wild animals to be vermin is to be declared by the central government. Section 62 capital A, regulation or prohibition of import etc. of invasive alien species. This is also to be done by the central government. All these sections just have a rough idea about it. Not very important, questions were not asked. It's just that sometimes in some states they basically ask about the bodies who have the power to make rules, to make amendments. So and this section is important. It comprises of that rights of scheduled tribes are to be protected. Specifically, this has been given under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Thank you.